You're in the trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics. It is already week 2 of the preseason for the Cincinnati Bengals. They are getting ready to head to Washington, D.C. to take on the Washington Commanders on Monday night, 8 p.m. kickoff. Dave Lapham is about ready to take off to head to Washington for the game. And Lap, you know, it's that time of year. We may, kind of different from previous preseasons is, yeah, we're going to see Joe Burrow. We're going to see Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, those guys. But this game is super, super important for guys looking to make their imprint, be it a rookie or a free agent or a signee. This is where the evaluation process really heats up.
No question about it, Dave. You know, I remember my first year with the football team, drafted as a third round pick. You know, it's like everybody's saying, "Oh yeah, you'll make the team." That's for third round pick. You know, shoot, they're not going to cut you. Well, you know, easy for you to say. You're not in a situation where you're battling and trying to make the football team, and that's what's going on right now with every single rookie that was drafted, college free agents that weren't drafted and trying to make the football team. And, you know, they've got a battle royale. They have a long road ahead of them to try to make one of the final roster spots on the football team. And then also, of course, the unrestricted free agents, the veteran guys that they've signed to try to help bolster the football team and make it a stronger unit. So these last 2 preseason games are huge. This game on Monday night is a massive football game for all of them. I mean, you know, they want to put their best foot forward for sure. You know, you're running out of time. If in fact you're not happy with the performance that you had in preseason number 1, and you better up the ante. You better go out there in preseason game number 2 and play like it's your own personal Super Bowl, and fly around like you've never flown around before. You've put yourself in a little bit of a bind. You put yourself kind of in a corner and behind the 8 ball a little bit because you know, maybe you weren't totally satisfied that you did everything you possibly could have done physically and mentally in week 1. Well, you gotta double down, man. You gotta up the ante a little bit in week number 2 and show the coaches that, yeah, that was an off performance. You know, unfortunately, it happened in my very first opportunity with the football team. And man, that was one thing that I remember when I was a rookie that I just was absolutely would have sleepless nights the week before my first preseason game because I wanted to put my best foot forward. I did not want to, you know, look like you don't belong. That's the last thing you want to do. With all the other veteran players, the coaches, management, you know, you don't want to ever go out there and look like you don't belong. Well, you certainly don't want to do it in the very first time you go out there with the organization after you've been drafted out of college or whatever the case may be. So any of those guys that are in that boat, they put themselves in that boat. It's going to be interesting to see how they respond, and that's what the coaches are looking for too. If you do have a game where maybe you're not as proud as you want to be with the performance, a little bit of an off night, how do you bounce back? What do you look like the following week? You know, is it something where you're going to let it carry over and bring you down and bring your performance level down, or are you going to bounce back and go out there and play, you know, like you're a 5-time Pro Bowl player? So that's what I think the coaches are looking for. Players are looking to try to do.
One player who impressed in the first preseason game was offensive guard rookie Dylan Fairchild. Fairchild now has to show that, hey, I can stack a top performance with another top performance. And so a lot of eyes will be on him in this game.
Absolutely, Dave. Stacking performances. I mean, you nailed it. That's a phrase that I've heard in my football career as a player, even high school, you know, high school, college, and National Football League. From a playing standpoint, coaches are always like, okay, yeah, you know, you had a good game. Can you do it again? Show me again. You know, this is show me state, man. You're not one performance does not a career make. You have not you can't just put it in cruise control and live on easy street. You got to do it again and again and again, and consistency of performance is what makes for long careers. Inconsistency of performance makes for short careers. So Dylan Fairchild had a good game, no question about it. And I'm not surprised. I mean, the kid's a hell of a player. He played at Georgia. They've been a perennial powerhouse in college football. in the SEC, as good a conference as there is in college football, and he was a star. His star shined brightly. So, you'd expect him to go out there and be able to handle business. The atmosphere and everything about that game was not too big for him. He's been in big football games, playing against quality opponents. And so this was nothing new to him, just a continuation of what he experienced at the collegiate level as a very successful college player for every year that he played college football. I think he's a two-time All-American. That speaks volumes right there in terms of what we were talking about a little bit earlier, consistency of performance. Obviously, he had some really good games against quality people. But then, his line coach challenged him to do it next week and the week after that and the week after that. And that's where, good players, that quality right there separates good players from great players. There's a lot of good players out there that will have their share of good performances, but they're not the guys that are putting it together week after week after week, month after month, season after season. Those are the guys that are, the great players that everybody aspires to be.
We can say just the opposite about what happened at right guard. Lucas Patrick had some struggles. And then you add in the fact that Jalen Rivers is being moved from tackle to guard to be given a look, and Cody Ford kind of put out there as the swing tackle. There's going to be a battle there at right guard, it looks like, as things continue, if Patrick cannot show that, hey, I'm a veteran, I just had a bad day, and I've got things turned around.
Yeah, I mean, that's the bounce back we're talking about. And he's done that. He's done that for a lot of years. I mean, he's played at a very, very high level, high school football, college football, now in the National Football League, going into his 9th season. I mean, it's like, this guy he's been around a while. He knows what it takes. He knows how to prepare for an opponent. He knows how to absorb game plans. He knows how to go out and execute game plans. He knows when defenses make adjustments that you have to go to the sideline or even right at the line of scrimmage and make adjustments to those adjustments with calls that are made. And you have to understand the whole schematic to make those calls and make those adjustments. You have to have a big picture understanding of the game of football. And Patrick has that. I mean, he's played an extremely high level of football for an extremely long time. So I think that he is going to have a big bounce back game. I would not be surprised if he plays exceedingly well. And that, he had the one snap that is dogging him is where he gave up the inside on a pass rush, and Joe Burrow got hit as he was throwing the football, and people were upset about that. And it happens. I can tell you for a fact it happens. I've been there, done that. The thing that you don't want to do is let it happen again. I mean, coaches are going to say, all right, look, everybody has their times during the course of a game where it doesn't go according to plan. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to respond? How are you going to react? Is it going to be just a one-play scenario that everybody's going to forget about, or particularly for you to forget about, or is it going to be lingering? Is there going to be a hangover effect? Will it carry over to the next series? Will it carry over to the next quarter? Will it carry over for the entire football game? Will it carry over for the next week's football game? Are you going to be able to shake it off? Are you going to all practice all during the week? Are you going to let it linger and hang around like a bad dream? So I think that's a big part of being a professional. Not just physically, you have to be able to compete and perform at a high level, but mentally as well. You have to be able to perform and compete at a high level, and that's what separates a lot of players that make it in the NFL and the ones that don't. The ones that don't have that, the mental capacity. They have everybody. There's a bunch of really good football players out there from a physical standpoint. The differentiator in my mind is the mindset. The mindset for the game of football, the mindset, the bounce back mentality we're talking about. If you're beaten, don't get your dauber down. Don't quit on it. It's going to have to light a fire and let your competitive juices flow and get after it. And don't let that opponent get the best of you the rest of the game. You get the best of him. He may beat you once. You're going to beat his butt 10 times. And that's the way you have to compete to survive in the National Football League.
You're in the trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics. First Star Logistics is one of the fastest growing companies in Cincinnati. They are looking to expand their brokerage department by hiring individuals wanting a fast-paced career in the logistics industry. Visit firststarlogistics.com for details on how you could join the team at one of the top places to work in the Cincinnati area. And Lap, I want to stay on this offensive line look here real quick, because fans are screaming, hey, we need to sign a couple names still out there available. But at this point in time in camp, aren't you better off kind of waiting to see as other teams make their roster moves coming up in the next several days, where you may find an even better quality player to bring in?
That could be the case, Dave. Or, I think with respect to the Bengals, I think they're pretty happy with what they've got. Not to say that if something crazy happens, there's some team decides, look, we've had enough of this veteran player for whatever reason. The dynamic getting along with the coaching staff's not there. They seem to be on different wavelengths. Coaches can't get through to him. We know he's a great player. We know he's got upside potential. This coaching staff and this player, that upside potential looks like it'll never be achieved. We're going to put him out there and see what people will give up for him. Well, if you're talking about somebody like that, you're looking at, a first and second round pick, a first and 2 seconds, 2 firsts. I mean, you're looking at a lot of capital that you're going to have to give up. So, you don't think about necessarily parting ways with that kind of capital when you've got players that you can work with and develop and feel like you get a pretty solid offensive line. And now, if you can pick up somebody that is going to add to your depth and maybe battle for the 6th, 7th, and 8th spots in the offensive line on game day, and you feel like you get somebody that would upgrade those spots significantly, you probably would make a move. But it would have to be a significant differential in terms of performance shown so far in the preseason. That's only one game. It'll be 2 games of tape after this weekend. We're going to have to show something really, really good in a very short period of time, I think, to give up on somebody that you've worked with all of OTAs, all of the mini camps so far in training camp, and starting to understand what you want out of your the techniques and the fundamentals that you're teaching, understanding why you're doing things that the coaches are teaching you, and how to do it, where to be, when to be there, all of those kind of things. And guys that have been doing it for a while now have a big leg up on somebody that would be coming in from another team, being cut by a team. There's a reason the team cut him, and is he going to come in here and give you a better look on a snap by snap basis at the right guard or left guard or whatever position it may be, as a 6th, 7th, or 8th player? I'm not sure. That's a big ask. So I think that for the most part, I think we're going to see the Cincinnati Bengals working with the group that they've got and fine tuning and trying to upgrade the level of execution with that group of players, and be ready to just put forth the best performance that they've had to date in the regular season opener when they go up against NFL talent that's going to count. It's going to count on your schedule. It's going to be something that determines your seed for playoffs. And of course, we know that the AFC North is as good a conference division in the AFC conference, as good a division as there is, and as good a division in football. I don't think from top to bottom there's a better conference than the AFC North. And you're going to need a certain type of offensive lineman to compete in that conference. And the Bengals feel like they've got a bunch of them. They've done a good job, basically saying, here's the criterion, here's what I need physically and mentally from a player to compete in the AFC North. And they feel like they've met that criterion in terms of players that they drafted in the college draft. They signed in college free agency, and they also signed an unrestricted free agency coming from other teams already.
Yeah, it might be interesting against Washington to see if there's any moves with Matt Lee, Seth McLaughlin. They get on the field. They've been fighting some injuries or coming back from an injury from before they signed with the team. And that could be an interesting reason to watch this game Monday night against the Commanders. And Lap, we have to talk about it. Everyone else is talking about it. They're anxious. They're worried. Trey Hendrickson is still not under a new deal that both sides are happy with. I always talk like when you get to this point, this is a dance. You have an agent saying certain things, leaking certain things, and then you always have somebody talking to somebody in the organization, and they're going to kind of go to status quo, but they may drop little things like, oh, sure, we're open to listening to a trade. But it would be hard to see at this stage with the type of player Trey Hendrickson, and not just the type of player, but the type of person Trey Hendrickson is, who represents the Bengals very well, to make that type of move.
Yeah, Dave. I mean, honestly, you got a guy in Trey Hendrickson who's everything you want in a football player in the National Football League. I mean, you look for a high character guy, that the game is important to him, and he's going to do everything he possibly can to build himself up physically and mentally to perform at the highest level that he possibly can in the game that means so much to him and his family and friends and everything else. I mean, Trey Hendrickson has immense pride in his performances, and he wants to be the best that there is in the National Football League at the defensive end position. And 17 and a half sacks the last 2 seasons, 35 sacks for 2 seasons, is the best in the National Football League the last 2 seasons. I think he's the best pass rusher on a snap-by-snap basis in the NFL. And that's not counting, all the pressures and all the hurries and getting the quarterback off his comfortable spot in the pocket, and making him alter his mechanics, and as a result of that, throw incompletions. I mean, those aren't included in the quarterback sack numbers. So Trey Hendrickson on a down by down basis, a snap by snap basis, on a quarter by quarter, series by series, quarter by quarter, half by half, game by game basis, he is disruptive. He is a disruptor. He is going to make the offense do things they don't want to do. He's going to make them have to make adjustments they don't want to have to make. You don't trade a guy like that. And if you do say, okay, yeah, Trey Hendrickson, I guess, well, we can't get anything done. His agent doesn't really want to talk turkey here. I guess he wants to put him on the market. Let's put him on the market. Teams are going to have to give up 2 firsts and 2 seconds to get Trey Hendrickson. Who the hell is going to do that? I don't see many teams out there that are going to be doing that. And the Bengals aren't going to give him up for, much less than that. They know that they have a premier player. They know they have a player that everybody is trying to get. So when you get him, you don't let him go. You don't develop him for, a couple of years and have him compete at a very high level, as competitive and as productive a player as there is in the National Football League, and then let somebody else enjoy it. Man, I mean, he's got a few years under his belt, but he's not done. He's getting toward the twilight, toward the back end of the career, but he keeps himself in unbelievable shape. He is a physical. I mean, it's amazing the shape that he keeps himself in. He looks young. I mean, he's about 30 years old, but he looks like he's 24, 25 years old, and his body is just. I mean, he's sinewy, man. His muscles are superbly developed, and he is in unbelievable condition. His cardiovascular system is as good as there is in the National Football League at his position group. So when you have a guy like that, you have a player like that can impact and influence the outcome of the game, like Trey Hendrickson can. Man, they're not going to trade him. It ain't happening. They're going to get something done. Hopefully they just have maybe a little more signing bonus that has to be altered or adjusted to get that part of things done and get him in a mindset where he's comfortable with the money that he's going to get today. And that's probably what it's boiling down to. The terms and conditions, the structure of the contract. How much money is he getting today? How much money is deferred? How much money is, are we talking about in total? But with a guy like Trey Hendrickson, you bend over backwards to make sure that he goes nowhere other than just signing that contract up in Mike Brown's office and putting his name on that dotted line to stay in Cincinnati for years to come.
And as we said previously, This is getting to the point in time. This is preseason game 2. We have the third game against the Colts on the 23rd. And then you got a little bit of space there until we get to the season opener in Cleveland. So September 7th, at some point in time, we start talking actual game checks. No, those aren't little anymore, Dave.
No, they're not little anymore, particularly when you're talking about the kind of money that Trey Hendrickson could be making. I mean, you don't want to give that money back. You don't want to say, oh, that's all right. You can hang on to that. I'll make do. I'll make good with what I get for the rest of the year. The other thing is we're talking about, he's in the back end of his career. If you don't come to contractual arrangement, you do forfeit money and in significant dollars. And what we're talking about with him on a compensation basis with the yearly salary is game checks. You divide it by 17, big numbers. So you're going to get in the hole pretty quickly. You miss 2 or 3 games, you're in the hole 50 or 60 grand. Now, when you're going to make it up, how are you going to make it up? I mean, it's the further you are into your career, the tougher it is to come back and be even Steven in where where you should be, as opposed to giving money away by not showing up on time and forfeiting game checks. You don't want to be doing that. You don't want to be giving money back, particularly at the age that Trey Hendrickson is. You want your bank account to grow. You don't want to keep that money, let the organization keep that money, accrue interest on it, and let their bank account grow. You want to do that with the money. You want to be the one that is capturing that cash and gaining full interest on it and investing it wisely.
You're in the trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics. Lap is getting ready to board a plane to head to Washington, D.C. for the Bengals preseason game against the Washington Commanders Monday night, 8 p.m. kickoff. Lap, before we let you go, you prep. I've watched you prep, and I know how detailed you get. What are the things that you're looking to see from the Cincinnati Bengals in this second preseason game?
Yeah, I'm looking to see a continuation by the veteran players, particularly offensively. I think they're playing at a pretty high level. I thought they went out and executed at a very high level in preseason game number 1. I want to see that carry over. I don't want to see a lull. I don't want to see like a step back. I want to see the first team offense go out there with Joe Burrow and execute like they did in their first opportunity. I mean, first drive down the football field for a touchdown, second drive down the football field for a touchdown. I'm not saying you have to score every possession that you get in the preseason, but it'd be nice to do it at a pretty high percentage of the time. And I think they're capable of doing it just about every single possession that they have. So I'd like to see that continue. And then I'd like to see the defense up the ante a little bit. I think that they understand the mistakes that they made in week 1. They understand the corrections that Al Golden wants them to make going into week 2. And they know they have to go out and compete at a higher level on a snap-by-snap basis and play as one, not just individually, not just the defensive line try to handle things, the linebackers try to get things done as a position group there, and the same in the secondary. No, you want all 11 people to be on the same page. You want them to it's almost like it's choreographed. I mean, it moves like an amoeba. The entire 11 team player group is filling gaps and making sure that the backside is taken care of. So, cutback won't hurt the football team. You don't want any broken assignments in coverage anywhere on the football field. Everybody at a very, very high level from a concentration point, both mentally and physically, and have that defense go out and perform better than it did in week 1. I think they played well in week 1. I think they were good, but I think they've got great in them. And I don't think they were great in week 1. I think they were good, but they gave up too many, a play here, a play there, big play that, kind of marred the performance a little bit. So in this one, go out there and play a clean game. Every single snap, everybody be where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there, doing what they're supposed to be doing. and understanding why they're there and how they're supposed to get there. So I'd like to see that kind of a performance out of the defense, and I think they've got that kind of performance in them. I think that this football team, with Al Golden at the helm, calling defensive plays with his system that he's got and his configurations and schematics that he's got installed and in place, I think it can be one of the best defenses in the National Football League. Now they just got to go out and play like it.
In the Trenches with Dave Lapham is presented by First Star Logistics. First Star Logistics, one of the fastest growing companies in Cincinnati, is looking to expand its brokerage department by hiring individuals wanting a fast-paced career in the logistics industry. Visit firststarlogistics.com for details on how you could join the team at one of the top places to work in the Cincinnati area. And Lap and I can both attest how fun it is to go in there when we go in each week. And Lap, have a safe flight. We look forward to hearing the call Monday night against the Commanders. And Houday.
Houday, Dave, and I just want to tell people that how much I appreciate what you do for not only First Star Logistics, and you do great things for them on a day-to-day basis for sure. Kevin Bernhardt is very, very happy, very, very pleased with what you do for the company for sure. But as am I. I mean, I think on an individual basis, working in the trenches with Dave Lapham, with you and I, kind of combining what we feel like the fans of Cincinnati would like to see and like to hear. I'm proud of what comes out of our process that we go through and how we handle the actual week-to-week assignments and sometimes multiple assignments on a weekly basis from a podcasting standpoint with First Star Logistics. I just want to tell people that you are a workaholic. You are a pro's pro. You do your job as well or better than anybody. And I'm pleased as punch and happy to be able to say that we're a team at First Star Logistics, my man.
Appreciate those kind words, Lap. Have a safe flight.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate you.